Welcome back, everyone, to another week, another episode. And right before Austin, he said 14. That's crazy. Of Austin Ali, a sports podcast with the best of the best. Austin
Oh
and
yeah,
Ollie, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, baby. I'm good. Feels like it's a good weekend. Cowboys won, TCU
Yeah.
won.
Hey,
Fun weekend
yeah.
all around.
Yeah, if you guys wonder
You
why we
know.
stopped talking TCU or Austin did, because I think they
Hey,
stink. But that's just me,
no, no,
though.
no, no. We got busy. We got busy. There's other things going on.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to talk about. Another blowout, as we expected, right? It was kind of scary at the beginning. Briefly talk about the Cowboys and how Jerry Jones is going to try to go in a time machine and try to induct Jimmy Johnson into the Hall of Fame when he said 1923 instead of 2023. That just showed his age. Like, if you didn't know, he was an old fuck
Yeah,
already.
Alzheimer's,
Talk about
baby.
that. That's terrible. I feel bad. That Mavericks, kind of in a little bit of skid. We'll talk about them. Talk about the TCU game for a little bit. Tailgating the last home game was pretty fun. Had some friends out there, family. It was fun. It's a good time. And yeah, man, let's get into it. Talk about
Yeah,
Saturday.
before we start with that, I just want to say, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. Before we get started, let's go ahead and make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. We're on
Yeah, follow
YouTube,
us in
so
all the
go follow us on
medias.
YouTube. Share, post us on your stories, interact with us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at Austin_and_Ollie. On
Yup.
TikTok at just all one word, Austin and Ollie. All that stuff's in the show notes. But yeah, seriously, give us a review, subscribe, do all that. Kind of helps us out, gets us in the algorithm a little bit. Kind of
Yeah,
helps all that stuff. So, business out of the way. Let's get down to the fun stuff, dude. Weekend.
very fun stuff. Had a blast.
Yeah. So we for sure on Saturday. We kind of always have like a little tailgate at all the TCU games. So Ollie came out just like he did against the Colorado game. I think it was a great time, dude. We had everybody there. I mean,
Oh,
that
it
was
was a
probably the biggest
blast.
tailgate that we had of the season.
Yeah,
I think we probably had like 50 people at the spot, which was
yeah, it was a
kind of
crap ton of
crazy.
people.
We had 12 pounds of fajitas and like a whole
Eesh,
like big pan of
cooking
like
it
Mexican rice,
up.
tortillas,
Oh
whipping
my
it up,
gosh,
and we were out. We
chips
ran
and
out of stuff
salsa.
at the
Oh, use
we
all
ran
of
out
it.
of
Oh yeah,
that.
there was no
Ran
liquor
out of
left to
beer.
we.
Yeah,
There was so
we
much beer.
polished it
I don't.
off. We polished it off, bro. And the bad thing was,
Oh,
I thought we had a lot, and
me
then
too.
people like as they came were bringing stuff, and we ran out of that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because
So
when Carlos and Brandon got there, they
yeah,
they had 3 cases total. Brandon had 2 cases of
yeah,
Miller, and Carlos had 1 pack of Modelo. So I was like, dude, I think we
and
have more than enough beer. And
no,
by the
and it
end of
was
the
all
night, there
gone.
was
It was all
nothing.
gone. Yeah,
Nothing.
which is even crazier because I don't know. I was just kind of like just throwing beer, throwing beers to people. It's like, hey, you need one for the walk-in. You need one for the
Bro, we were
walk-in.
going crazy, no cap. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
and it was like I feel bad because like at the end of the night, like I was like, damn, I kind of have a hangover because it was like we were drinking pretty much from
Oh yeah.
like 11 a.m.
11. Yeah.
to at least well past midnight.
I want to say a good 12 hours.
All,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like, and then all of yesterday for me was shot. I just like
Yeah.
I woke up. I had to wake up and go to breakfast early in the morning,
Oh,
and
I
after
saw
that,
that.
like we I unloaded the trailer and I just like slept. And then Emily and I think we're in bed by like 8 o'clock, dude. I was
It
so
was a
tired, and
long but like short Sunday. I think more just like as a weekend
I
vibe.
know.
I just sat there and I didn't do shit. I just watched football. I mean,
Yeah,
I fell asleep to the
I think
Cowboy
I
game.
woke
I
up.
mean, I'll say it. I fell
Yeah,
asleep to the Cowboy game. I was like, let me
I
sleep
fell
through
asleep to the
halftime.
Cowboys game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I woke up when Deron Bland had his pick six because I heard Emily's mom like yelling for the pick six, and I was like, what happened? What happened? And I woke up and I see him like running in the end zone. I was like, okay, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. And partially, I'm happy that TCU like football's home game's over because that means I won't be drinking as much, which is a good thing because man, those Sundays have been like non-existent for me. It's just like
I was
not.
gonna say, yeah, same thing for me. But I've only gone to 2 TCU games, but I feel like I've been drinking the same or even more
Yeah,
as you on the weekends. So I don't know if TCU football ending is even gonna help my cause or not. I hope it does. That'd be nice.
yeah. I mean, I kind of hope not because I feel like we've been having a lot of fun.
But it's
But
back to back. What, 2 weekends now?
yeah, 2 weekends in a row.
It's been fun.
It could be
Why
3. It
not?
might be 3. It might be 3.
Yeah, I forgot this. Oh,
It might be
yeah.
3,
TCU football does
bro.
not correlate to how much I've been drinking. Yeah, that settled it. That settled it.
Yeah, it's tough. But anyway, I think it's time to get into your 7-3 Dallas Cowboys, huh?
7-3. That sounds nice. That sounds
It
nice.
feels nice. I might be the little Debbie Downer that you've kind of been today, and
No way. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I might. But let's get into the game, man. Let's get into the game. Let's talk about that before we talk about the good before we talk about the bad.
Okay, cool.
And Carolina Panthers.
The bad.
Big dub. Yeah, they are very bad.
The bad.
Cowboys looked good enough to win. 33-10 in Carolina.
Mhm.
What'd you think? What'd you think about the game? Tell me a little bit of your thoughts.
Yeah, let me throw everything out there. It was just, I was worried a little bit because they were running all over us, and there was some stupid penalties that would extend drives for them, and then again for us too. There was a bunch of it was that stupid horse collar and face mask at the same time. I don't know how you can do both. That's just holy crap. Okay, props to you. That's another 15 yards added to another bunch of, and that led to a touchdown. And there was a couple of key drops if we're being nitpicky with like Brandon Cooks. Fergie dropped one. Gallup dropped one. I think me and CD dropped one. But yeah, they were running all over us, and I saw Adam Thielen low-key cooking at the beginning.
Yeah, he
and I was
cooking
just like,
for a bit.
Oh gosh, but yeah, Miles Sanders and say Chuba Hubbard, right? They were both doing pretty good, and I was just like, damn, dude. No matter how good we've been playing offensively or defensively, like, what are we going to have to do to stop that rush defense or to start that rush defense for us?
Yeah, I think that's like I feel like I feel like it could be like a personnel problem, but also I think that our defense is kind of built to be beneficial against the pass, right? Let's go back in time to whenever the Colts had Peyton Manning. They had like Marvin Harrison, like way back in the day, right? Well, those Colts teams were all they were so good on offense that they specifically on defense loaded up on pass rushers. So you had like Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, and then you loaded up on dogs in your secondary because they knew that they were going to always their offense was always going to be cooking. And so their defense was kind of correlating against going against like a teams that would have to pass against them, right? So when doing that, I think that that's something that the Cowboys are kind of like geared towards as well, because I think that Cowboys offense is just so dominant, and it's just like you've kind of seen it all year that they're kind of able to score at will. And I think that that's kind of the same thing, right? Like on the edge, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Micah Parsons, even Dorrance Armstrong is like they're all like, I mean, have like good number of sacks, right? Then at safety, you got Jaron Kearse, Donovan Wilson. I mean, just kind of, and then like obviously, right, Deron Bland's kind of been a baller all year, and that doesn't even include Trey Diggs that's been hurt, Stephon Gilmore that's been balling this year too. So like, I just think that, and then like you look at on the linebacker situation, you have Damon Clark, who's I think this is only like his second or so year playing significant reps at linebacker, and then Marquise Bell, who we've kind of talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah, he's been dogging
transitioning. Yeah, he's a dog, but he's a safety transitioning.
Yeah,
he's transitioning from safety to linebacker. So I think you have a lot of speed, and it's just not necessarily geared towards stopping the run, and that's okay, I think. And as I mean, it's going to hurt against teams like the 49ers, against teams like the Eagles. But that's when you kind of need your offense to get ahead in the game to allow
to force them to
defense
throw.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of something that as a team you can kind of see how the roster is built, and I think that it's built for that. I think we have like linebacker-wise, I think we have coverage linebackers versus run stuffing linebackers, which is cool. I mean, that's just kind of a preference on how you have your team set up.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense because we're not like a run dominant team like we used to be.
Oh no, it looks like we're definitely force feeding the ball. It seems like every game, it's been someone different. It was CD a couple weeks ago when he went on that crazy stretch of games. The game after was Brandon Cooks, and then this week it was Tony Pollard because we're going against the worst rush defense in the league. And I said, all right, bro.
Yeah.
Go get your shit done. Come on, let's see what you can do. And there was a couple of spurts and stuff. He had that big that tutty where he was just ramming through people. looking like Zeke out there.
Yep.
So that props to him.
I
I'm
mean,
glad he was
yeah,
able to
and
get to.
yeah, and I think it's cool because I remember a quote from CD. I think it was this week, and I think they may have mentioned it on the broadcast, something like that, where it's like, all right, like we're like purposely like trying to get guys going now. Like he's like, you saw
Yeah.
me get going a couple weeks ago. Cooks just got going last week. Like it's TP's turn. Like we're gonna start getting him the ball. We're gonna start getting him going. That way kind of come towards the end of the season whenever we start playing those big name teams.
Hopefully everyone's just clicking at that
like,
point.
Everybody's clicking, right? And that's kind of what you need. And I think that you like I'm gonna talk about like the concerns about the Cowboys, like strength of schedule that we've had. But I think that they're beating the teams that they're supposed to be, aside from the Cardinals. But they're beating the teams that they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in ways that they should be, which I think is you know what I mean? Like they're taking the time to say, oh, okay, like all right, our number one receiver, he hasn't been clicking lately. Let's get him going. Or okay, this guy that we traded a couple draft picks for to replace Amari Cooper, like he hasn't been going. Let's get him going. Like our running back that we franchise tag, like he hasn't been running the ball well. Let's use this game against the worst run defense in the NFL to get him going, get him involved. And I think it's smart to try to do that right now when you have the ability to do so, I guess.
Yeah, take advantage of the schedule you have in front of you.
Exactly, right? And it's not like we can control. You can't control who you play, and you can't control when you play them. It's not your fault. I mean, that's up to the schedule makers. Like you look back on some of these games that we've played, like you would have thought that playing the Jets on Monday night, like that would have been a big game because they had Aaron Rodgers and all stuff. But like the way the chips fell, like he was hurt. You would have thought that playing the Cardinals, even though we lost, like that would have been a bigger game because they would have had Kyler Murray, but he was hurt. You catch the Chargers on an off year, you catch the Rams on an off year, like just kind of is what it is. And you know, I mean, it's just kind of how the way the cookie crumbles. It's not really our fault. You just got to beat the teams you can beat. And I think that aside from the Cardinals, you've done so, which is what you can be excited about. And I don't think that's something that Cowboys teams in the past have done.
Yeah, it's definitely different because we've seen them scrape wins when they're not supposed to, when they're supposed to be like demolishing teams. But it's looking just crazy because it's almost looking like college football every week out. We just make every team look absolutely just stupid, blowing them out. Dak hasn't played in how many fourth quarters has he not played this year?
Yeah, I think it's all 7 wins except for the Chargers.
That was only like close game.
He's come out of the game early. And I guess we can kind of segue to what I kind of wanted to talk about was where I'm going to be a Debbie Downer is like, are we concerned about the Cowboys' strength of schedule or the strength of victory, right? So I was doing some things, just looking at like the playoff picture because I knew we were 7-3. I knew we weren't going to be first in the division right now because the Eagles are 8-1 and they might be 8-2 after tonight.
I hope so. It's looking like it.
Yeah, but I didn't like I truly. Oh shit. Okay, well, I didn't realize how bad the Cowboys' strength of schedule was. But when you look at it, it kind of makes sense, right? Like we've played the Giants, we've played the Cardinals, we've played the Panthers, we've played Washington. Like all those teams are all really bad. The Chargers are 4-6, the Rams are 4-6. And so basically, right, our strength of schedule is .373, and our strength of victory, which is the like winning percentage of the teams that we've beat, is .292, which means like the people that we beat have won less than 3 out of 10 games, which is ridiculous. But what's crazy to think is our average margin of victory is just over 25 points.
That's crazy.
And the closest victory, which is crazy because I feel like you haven't really ever seen that, at least recently. And then the closest victory that we have is 20-17 over the Chargers. And we have not beaten a team with a winning record. The 2 teams that we've played that have a winning record, one of them we got blown out against, and that was the Niners, and the other one was the Eagles, which we had a chance to win, but we just fucked it. I mean, kind of pissed down our legs. So, is this a reason to be concerned? I think it is, and I think that it's something where you got to be cognizant of it, but I also think that as a fan, you have to be excited with where we are because aside from those 3 weeks, we've kind of done what we've needed to do. But also, I think you also kind of have to have that note in the back of your head, like, hey, like, let's see Dak do something in the fourth quarter where he needs to.
Mhm.
So I think
I
it's
want to say
just
most. Yeah, I want to say most of our fan base. I don't know our fan base. We got a terrible fan base if we're being honest. There's guys like
yeah,
us. I'm gonna put us on the good side that we like to be realistic Cowboys
yeah,
fans, and then those the quote unquote casuals. But that's what you're gonna get in every sport, especially football, and especially the Cowboys in the Metroplex. So you see them like, yeah, we're 7-3, blah blah blah, and you know they're typical. This is our year, quote unquote, blah 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 blah. But no, definitely something to be concerned about, like you said. I mean, you're taking
yeah,
advantage of the teams that you're supposed to be doing,
yep,
and like you said, it's something that we haven't been doing before. So that's a good sign. But then you think about the 3 losses you had, and obviously everyone's always bitching about, okay, yeah, you're being the teams you're supposed to be. Like, why are you happy? And it's like, dude, I'm telling you, it's tough. It's not easy getting a win
yeah.
in the NFL every Sunday. It's like
NFL,
any
no,
given
no,
Sunday. Yeah, it happens. You saw the Eagles lose to the Jets, and we absolutely
yep,
obliterated the Jets. So what do we say there? You know, can
yep,
you say that we're better than the Eagles? No, because we played them when we lost. Blah blah blah. And then your 2 losses again, or the 3 losses were the Cardinals. You looked absolutely shit. And obviously everyone's shitting on us, but if you would have beat them, no one's talking about that game.
yep,
Second, you get absolutely embarrassed on Sunday Night Football against the 49ers. Your quote unquote Super Bowl, everybody was happy as fuck, or everyone's pumped. They're like, oh yeah, I've been itching for this game. Like, they don't know what's coming. Oh, they didn't even see what was coming, my guy. You weren't doing
no,
shit.
yeah. We
You got
didn't see what was
absolutely
coming. I'll tell you that
embarrassed.
much.
You got embarrassed. You got embarrassed. And you're the one with the Eagles. It's something you can be proud of. And I think it exposes a little bit more of the Eagles' success. We've talked
Yeah,
about it multiple times that they can just win ball
they're
games.
fraudulent. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
I still
definitely
think they're
fraudulent, but they
fraudulent.
can win ball games. Fuck, they can win it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And then you had, was it the Browns? Yeah, we talked about Browns Ravens. You could say the Ravens have been really good.
yep,
They lost last week, and then blah blah blah, so forth, so forth. So again, every win you should just take it and run with it, and be happy with what you did today. Like, I'm not gonna go out there and say, oh yeah, the Cowboys are definitely contenders. It's like, no, they have the strength of schedule, like we talked about, and they're taking
yep,
advantage of it. And a little bit brief with, I mean, I'm just throwing teas with the Mavericks. Same with the Mavericks. They've had an easy
yep,
schedule. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, and that's going to get you far. And clearly in the
yeah.
NFL, less
And
games is
that'll
going to
get you
get
in
you
the
to
playoffs.
playoffs. Exactly.
That's
That's
gonna
what
get
you
you
need to do.
playoffs.
Get in and see what happens. Clearly, you don't have a
Yeah,
good history with that. Don't have a good history.
and yeah, and I think that the Cowboys have enough star power to obviously, right? I mean, until proven otherwise, they're still the Cowboys, and until proven otherwise, you have to be pessimistic of what's going to happen when the moment gets when
Yeah.
it's nut cutting time, and you have to make a clutch play. The track record is to know hey, they're not going to make that play, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still the playoffs, and it's still a one-off game, and you still have playmakers. I mean, you have arguably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now with the way he's playing. You
Yeah.
have, I would say, a top 3 receiver, if not number 1 in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
You have a
Yeah.
defense that any given week is I mean, getting a pick 6 or making big plays, or I mean, you have
Yeah.
I mean, I would say you have 2 defensive player of the year candidates in Micah Parsons and Deron Bland. And that's not to mention, right? I just think the matchup that we have on a lot of the teams, really in the AFC, I think we match up really, really well against the Chiefs, the Bengals, which their kind of season's almost over now with Burrow, but Chiefs,
Yeah.
Bengals, Dolphins, even the Bills, all those teams are dominant passing teams. And what did I say earlier, right? We're a team that's built to go against the passing team. So it's just you got to get through. You kind of got to let the NFC feast on itself and hope that you get a certain, I guess, you catch a break is what you want to do. And at the end of the day, right, being a successful team in any sport, you are going to have to understand that you are going to have a lucky break every now and then. That's just kind of the way it crumbles, right?
Yeah.
To go to TCU, last year you saw it in 1-score games, TCU was just perfect. They, for whatever reason, they just made the big play when they needed to. They had the experience to. They had the composure to make the big play when it happened most. And look at them now this year. They've lost every single 1-score game that they've in comparison to winning every 1-score game. So it balances out over the long run. It's just you got to have that team that catches a break at the right moment, makes a play at the right moment, and then be in a position to win the game. And I think that this team has that ability to do so. It's just they have to show it. So
Yeah, I want to believe it too. Like you said, history just seems like to just keep repeating
Yeah.
itself. And same thing with the Rangers, the world champs, by the way, if you guys forgot.
Hell
The
yeah.
world
Hey,
champs.
nah, I didn't. I promise I
We're in
didn't.
the World Series, and I even told you every game or every season, I was just like, dude, I'm sorry. I just can't get excited. I can't be happy.
Yeah.
I'm in the Mamba mentality. It's like, what is there to be happy about, you know?
Yeah.
So 2 more
Job's
games.
not
I don't know.
finished.
Like, yeah, job's not
Job's
finished.
not
And
finished.
that's exactly how I feel about every single sports team here until they don't let me down. Baseball off the hook. They can do whatever the fuck they want now after this. Well, obviously I want to sign some free
They're gonna
agents
get
still.
Shohei. I
Get
mean, they're gonna
Monty
get
back and get
Shohei.
Shohei, get Yamamoto. You name it, man.
They're gonna be all right. They're
But
gonna be cool.
yeah, take advantage of your schedule. And yeah, you look at those teams now, you talk about it like they're the or it's gonna be just passing heavy and just offense against offense, and hopefully your defense can prevail at the end of the day. But I mean, still don't look away from the Bills' run game with Josh Allen himself trying to get himself killed out there.
Yeah.
I think he plays the worst brand of football. If he keeps playing like that,
Yeah,
he's
I
just
hate
not
it.
going to be playing forever. I know
I
he's a
hate it.
big dude and he should be running, but imagine seeing Dak run like that every Sunday. Jerry would go out there and just eat him out.
Yeah. Pause.
Resume. You may resume.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that kind of football also it kind of contributes to like just making too many stupid mistakes. I mean, look at it. Obviously, it kind of worked out this week, but like last week, Josh Allen had like 3 turnovers with interceptions
he tried to say
and
he
fumbles,
was back, and I'm like, okay, dude, you're playing the Jets.
Yeah, and
That's still a solid defense, but
I was looking at him, and he's leading the NFL in interceptions with 12, which is kind of an astonishing number. But I think we're finally starting to see that discourse throughout like national media, right? Of where's this conversation at when Dak Prescott is doing it versus Josh Allen? Well, look, I mean, Dak Prescott right now only has 6 interceptions to 19 touchdowns. I mean, but it's Josh Allen. It's media's golden boy. It doesn't have the star on the helmet, so they're not going to say anything about it. They're not going to talk shit about him, and they're going to still keep saying that he's the heir to the throne, to Mahomes Mountain, or whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. So it's just, it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. So
yeah, what do you do? Yeah, what do you do?
But I'm trying to think. Is there anything else Cowboys that you want to talk about? I have a couple stats I want to talk about. It's kind of like a just past midseason check-in. If you want to just kind of react to these and tell me what you think. So 13 games. Dak Prescott is currently 8th in the NFL in quarterbacks in total or in passing yards at 2,604. 19th in touchdowns at or 4th in touchdowns with 19. Second in completion percentage at 70.1.
70% is crazy.
70%, just behind Brock Purdy, which is number 1, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then second in the NFL in QBR at 73.8, which is
behind
I think
Purdy
that's kind of
well?
showing that I think it's either Purdy or Mahomes. I don't remember. I didn't look to see who it was, but it was one of them. But I think all those is kind of just showing like I think this has probably been his best season as a Cowboy. Aside, you could probably go back to like his rookie season when they went 13-3 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this is just like it's kind of showing that he's almost maturing as both a leader, but also as like he's protecting the football, he's making the right play, and I mean like look how high he was in so many of these categories, and that's without playing in the fourth quarter.
He's been missing a couple of fourth quarters, like a handful.
Yeah. So it's crazy to think about. Tony Pollard is 13th in NFL in rushing yards and way down the list in touchdowns, which is kind of something which is crazy to think about. We kind of need to get that up. CD Lamb, all these just kind of prove that he's in the upper echelon of receiver in the NFL. He has 74 receptions, which is 6th. Almost 1,015 yards, which is second behind Tyreek. He's the only person he's behind.
Yeah.
Which Tyreek Hill has like 1,200 yards right now, which is unreal.
He's going for 2K. He's going for 2K.
Yeah. And then he's 13th in NFL in receiving touchdowns with 5. Yeah. Kind of mentioned them earlier, but Damon Clark and Marquise Bell kind of leading your team in tackles, which is cool. One thing that I was like really surprised about was DeMarcus Lawrence. I kind of always would assume that he'd kind of be up there in sacks, really, but I mean he's behind Dorrance Armstrong in sacks with 4. Dorrance Thompson has 5, and then Micah just got his 10th.
Damn, 10 already? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but and then Deron Bland 6 picks to Gilmore's 2, and then Jaron Curse and Malik Hooker and Trey Diggs all have 1. But I don't really know where I was going with it. I thought it was just kind of interesting to pull up some of the stats to kind of see where we were. I think the really big thing that I was kind of interested in was D-Law, and just kind of I don't know if he's been having a great season this year, but I also think that he just gets a lot of attention from the offensive line. Not to mention like him and Micah, but to see like what Micah is still doing, and I think I saw a picture in the game where he has like triple teamed, and he's still getting through the line. So
yeah,
it's just. I think it's just levels, but still, I mean, I think the team is just they got the pieces. It's just you got to make it work, man.
It was nice seeing Micah get back on the sacks 2.5, and then seeing Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence also getting a sack too, because I feel like he's been pretty quiet. I mean, ever since Micah, I don't know if just because Micah took all the spotlight, but I think behind the scenes for sure he's still making better holes and gaps for everyone else. You know, taking the you said attention from other guys, and I mean, because you can't just forget about DeMarcus Lawrence.
No, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, that's kind of all I got on the Cowboys. You got any final thoughts on them before we head to the Mavs?
Just props to Deron Bland, man. Ties the NFL season record for most pick sixes, and barely halfway through the season.
Absolute stud, dude. Disgusting. And I think that draft class from 2022 is just like looking more and more good by the day. I think they had Jake Ferguson, they had Deron Bland, Marquise Bell was an undrafted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had Sam Williams too, which he's contributing. They had some dogs, dude, and that's it's good to see that the drafting is still looking good, because you need young guys like that to contribute while you are paying guys like Diggs, hopefully CD. We're gonna have to. Oh,
did you hear that?
Pause. All right, man. Well, yeah, let's move on to the Mavs then.
Let's talk about them.
So, they're 9-5 currently. Since our last episode, they've kind of been in a little slump. 1-3, lost to the Pels, beat the Wizards.
Yeah, that was a bad
lost
game.
Lost the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then lost to the Bucks, and then lost last night, I think it was, to the Kings.
Yeah, they got. I mean, Sabonis. I mean, size again, just getting outworked.
I think a lot of it is kind of that was just like a tough run on the schedule. Not only do you play Pelicans 2 games in a row, you play them once here and then once in New Orleans, but you played 2 sets of back-to-backs, because if I'm correct, the Pelicans and Washington's game was back-to-back, and then the Bills and Kings game was back-to-back, which that sucks, dude. I mean, especially like back-to-backs in NBA is so tough, and the New Orleans, Washington, and Milwaukee, that's all in a row too. And I think like going to the Kings game, even though the Kings game was at home, I think I read somewhere that they didn't get back to Dallas last night until 1 a.m. and then just to like quickly turn around, and
I
like
think it was 5 o'clock, I think, or
it was an early tip
5 or
too.
6,
so
6:30,
yeah, which like that's just absolutely brutal, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, what's going on with the Mavs? How we feeling? How should we be excited? Should we be upset? Should we jump off a bridge?
A little bit. So offense is there, has always been there. If it sounds like it's the same story because like I mentioned it, it's like the Cowboys. They're beating the teams that there should be, but once they get any type of lick of competition, they're just like, oof, okay.
Fold.
Got to try on defense. Don't want to do that. I was disappointed with the Bucks game, because did you watch anything or like hear anything about the Bucks game?
I saw that we were up for a good amount of time, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, you went into the
fourth
like leading. You went up into the fourth leading by like 10. And so we go ahead and put up 40 in the third quarter, which is massive, right? You outscore them by 11. And then you get outscored by 15, but you give up 43 in the fourth quarter. The Mavericks went like 3 minutes on a cold streak and just couldn't score for 3 minutes straight.
And I feel like,
that's
something that's like happened in the past too. Yeah, and I feel like maybe it was when we were playing the Warriors in that Western Conference Finals 2 years ago. Like,
oh god, don't remind me of that series, bro.
It's just like we're just so prominent or so prone to like just going cold. And I think that's what happens when you rely on a three so much, like the Mavs do. Especially like Tim.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the thing is,
Luka's just
yeah, you get
he's
open
kind of
looks
like
too with Luka.
he's super streaky,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. So I think that's tough, man. And I think that they're still trying to work out. I think they're still trying to work out Kyrie and Luka together, and then also right like Derek
Yeah.
Lively's kind of playing our starting center minutes, so he's still trying to figure it out. I mean, he's a 19-year-old kid, so
Now they're getting boards.
it's not been great. Yeah. I mean, it's not been great, but I think he's just made such an improvement to our team and just helping everybody out so much that I think it's super important.
Yeah. But yeah, you had Luka and Kyrie go for 74 combined in that game.
Crazy, disgusting.
And Hardaway still was 17.
Absolutely.
Looking good as shit. But the one key was like Derek Jones Jr. looks like he's just touching earth now. It's kind of sad. Yeah, so he went in that Pelicans run, or he went 7, dropped 20 against the Wizards, dropped a goose egg against the Bucks, and then dropped 6 just now against the Kings. I was watching the highlights, and man, he struggled against the Bucks. He just couldn't get anything. And I think the very first bucket he had, or at least the highlight I saw, was Giannis absolutely just stuffing him at the rim. So after that, I'm scared to go any type of paint if I were him too. So, and then I think we're undefeated once Derek Jones Jr., if he scores like 10 points at least, we're undefeated. So when he doesn't, it's not looking good.
It's not looking good. And it's kind of surprising because he was one of those guys that we like added last minute, I feel like.
Yeah,
and it was. Kind of to have him go into a starting role is pretty interesting, but I'm like looking at the box score right now, and I am still surprised that right we give Josh Green that extension, and I feel like he's kind of taken a step back from last year, and then last year Jaden Hardy he played a big role, and now he's not even getting off the bench.
Yeah, I mean I don't know, his struggles. He did have he was just up and down last year as well with Hardy. He would go up and down the G League because he would go down to G League and drop 30, 40 points. And they're like, okay, maybe you're too good. Yep. And you bring him up here and you give him it's like, again, you don't give him any type of minutes, which is kind of crazy to me, I think. Like, he didn't play at all in this Bucks game. Kings game, did he even play in the Kings game? Probably like garbage time.
Yeah, and I think he played like 4 minutes in the Wizard. He played 4 minutes in a Wizard game, which is crazy to me. And I feel like that wasn't a game. Yeah, up until really kind of close to the end of the fourth, but like still, it was still a 13-point game. So why not get him more minutes? So, and I think one of the biggest concerns you got to have about the team is the defensive side, right? I think I sent you a tweet today.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent you a tweet today that I think we have like the second or third worst defensive rating in the entire NBA. Which, like, it's just one of those things, right? If you just go cold, like, you just have an off night from somebody, like, whether it's from Luka or whether it's from Kai or even if it's from Derek Jones Jr., right? Like, it just, like, not having those 10 points that you need. Like, look at that. I mean, you're giving up 132 points to the Bucks, 129 points to the Kings, 117 to the Wizards, and the Wizards are 2-9 at the time.
Awful, yeah.
I mean, like, to the Pelicans with Zion saying like, I gotta find motivation to play, like, and you're still getting up 131. It's just you gotta find something, and that's maybe I think we kind of mentioned at the end of the episode last week, but maybe we do. That's where we gotta go find another big man, or we gotta go find like a 3-and-D wing. Like,
if you're gonna be any type of serious, you need to go find defense, because this live or die with the 3-ball gets you very high, but also can get you very low. And they're just trying to outscore opponents, and it works every now and then. But clearly, once you get to playoffs and people sit there and scout you for like a 7-game series or like best of 7, it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
You're gonna get exposed so easily.
Damn, just swallowed a yawn.
You did?
Yeah. No,
this guy's getting old.
Yeah, man. I think it's tough, dude, and I think that's something that you just gotta find somewhere. I don't know if we have that guy on the roster right now. I mean, I remember when we drafted Omax, like there was hope on him being kind of like a 3-and-D wing, but he's still like he's
gonna be
young.
A project though. Yeah,
and he's kind of got to grow into it, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there like I don't know. I mean, would you take Marcus Smart? Like but like the thing about that
Oh
is the
yeah,
Grizzlies
well,
would,
it just depends how you
but
would.
the Grizzlies
Yeah,
wouldn't trade them specifically. They wouldn't trade them to somebody in the West, let alone somebody that they're going to play as many times like they play the Mavs. I
yeah,
mean, maybe there's somebody. I don't know. I mean, you just need maybe like a Malcolm Brogdon even, right? That can
yeah.
play
And
like
we're
shooting
missing
guard
Kleba
and still
too,
plays good
because
defense.
Kleba just can't stay healthy. I know it's easy to just forget about him, but when he's there, he's got the presence. Even though he's not as
Yeah,
confident anymore with his three ball, but he's there. But it's just easy to forget
yeah,
because he's played, I think, like 2 or 3 games this year.
yeah, man. It's tough. I think Jason Kidd has a job on his hands. He's got to figure out how to do it, and that's kind of why we picked him to be the coach. And I know there's a lot of gripes about him as the coach. So I don't know, man. I think that's kind of the one thing that you got to solve and you got to figure something out. And I think you got to make an adjustment. I mean, obviously it's early, right? But even so, like these games matter. And I mean, whether like when it's the games that are on the play-in court, like I know that Luka has said that does make a little bit of a difference, but also it's still like you can still play like dog shit because of it. So I don't know. I think that's tough. And what are you going to do about it? It's something that J Kidd needs to figure out.
On top of that, schedule's not
So,
doing you any favors. I think
yeah,
you had
absolutely.
a pretty schedule was in your favor for the first couple of weeks, and that's where you were looking really good. And then you get those back-to-back games with tough opponents with just bigger guys. Obviously, with
That's brutal.
Giannis, Sabonis, and De'Aaron Fox as being an absolute fucking stud of a player. And then you got the Lakers on Wednesday, Clippers, and then the Rockets. And don't look past the Rockets because the Rockets low-key have a good team, man.
They've been good this year. They're young,
yeah,
but
been good.
they've been all right. And I think
their
they have a
is
good coach.
Sengun, I forgot how you say his name. Sengun,
Yeah,
he's a dog. He's a dog.
Stud. Yeah, and I think that like you got Dylan Brooks too, right? Who's kind of going to be a menace. I think they have a really good coach in Ime Udoka.
Yeah,
but
he was a Celtics coach, right?
Yeah, he was a Celtics coach before he put something where it didn't belong, kind of deal. But yeah, man, I think we got a tough schedule coming up, and you just kind of gotta. Hopefully, these couple of days off will be pretty important, and kind of bounce back. It'd be nice to kind of talk next week and have them have maybe a 2-1 record, something like that. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, hopefully Luka just becomes the father that he is against the Clippers. Lakers are just fraud. It's gonna be Christian Woods. Welcome back, and yeah,
take advantage of a young Rockets team or something like that. So I don't know, man. But
yeah, hopefully.
Do you got anything else Mavs related?
Not Mavs related, but final score: Chiefs 17, Eagles 21.
That's so tough. That is so tough.
When I stopped watching, watching, the Eagles looked like shit.
I think last I saw it was 17-7.
It was bad. They were he was getting sacked. They had nothing going on for themselves, dude. I don't know. And they can just win ball games, right?
Yeah, it's because Taylor Swift wasn't there. That's what I heard.
Dude, it was a stinker of a passing performance. Mahomes 177, Jalen Hurts 150.
2 fraudulent quarterbacks. What did I say?
That's crazy. Oh yeah, well that's okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess we got a little Ollie and Outfield then. Is that what we got going on next?
Yeah, some free agency stuff actually happened, guys.
Okay.
If you guys forgot.
Let me know.
Shit, dude, my voice is so fucked. So free agency, some stuff happened last in the morning when I woke up on Sunday morning. Aaron Nola, first big pitcher to be off the market, goes back to the Phillies for $172 million for 7 years. So that's kind of setting the market for starting pitchers. I think that was around 23, 24, 25?
Yeah, it was 23. Yeah, it was I think it was like 23 or 24 mil a year.
Yeah, so yeah, if you do the math, for 7 years is quite a bit, I thought, a long term for a starting pitcher, just because, you got to put into consideration that he's going to get hurt as much as you don't want to think about it. So that's one starting pitcher that sets the market, like I said. and you also had Lance Lynn signed for the St. Louis Cardinals. Goes back to the Cardinals. Yeah.
It was like
back
up
to
to
the Cardinals
10
where
mil,
he got
right?
drafted. Yeah, 10 mil I thought was a little pricey, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
1 year,
with all the
10
home
mil
runs he
for a
gave up last
guy
year.
that gave up the most home runs. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, good for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to do. I keep hearing that all these starting pitchers are linked or that the Cardinals are interested in, but from what they were doing last year, it seems like they're in a rebuild with other guys leaving. But I don't know, maybe they do the reverse like the Rangers and like, yeah, we're in a rebuild, but we're going to spend a shit ton of money still, and hopefully in a couple years, our farm catches up. Yeah, because, I mean, that's how the Rangers did it, so maybe it works for them.
That worked out.
Yamamoto, the big Japanese pitcher that's not Shohei Ohtani, officially got posted today. So I think it was a 45-day window where he gets to sign, which I don't think is going to get nearly close to 45 days. He's going to sign pretty quickly. I know Dodgers are one of the teams. Obviously, Rangers are in the mix too. Any team really, because it's the next
like
Darvish, supposedly.
I think I saw the Cubs and maybe the Phillies were the two teams to look out for.
Yeah,
I know.
Phillies might be off the table now with Aaron Nola signing. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right. I think like any of those big name teams too, like the Dodgers, Yankees, they're kind of always in the mix.
Oh yeah, like the Mets probably too.
They can spend whatever money they want. I mean, it just is what it is. But I think that I think it would be beneficial to the Rangers if a team like the Cubs happen to get him, because I feel like the odds of the Cubs getting him and Shohei Ohtani at one, that's going to be tough. So
it would be tough.
Something like that happening. I don't know, man. I think that I'm kind of curious and see how the rest of free agency plays out. I mean, does somebody like Monty sign before or after Shohei Ohtani signs? I mean, some of the other big free agents, right? Like Josh Hader.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody else that's out there, but the guys that are out there too,
Blake
right?
Snell.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Cy Young. I wonder what his contract's going to look like.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's still a lot of good guys out there, but obviously one guy got out there, and you can say Lance Lynn. Other news for Rangers, looks like Bally Sports is finally going to get cut off by a lot of teams. I think there's the last season where they're streaming baseball. But supposedly I think the Rangers are trying to get closed before that because they don't want it to like shut down on them like during the season. So they might get out of that like ASAP to where like they're not even going to be doing that anymore to begin the season.
Have they said who would be taking over? Like what they would do
I don't know.
instead?
I don't know. Why don't you just go back to like 21, bro, and watch it on local channel. I remember when I was a kid, I would just go to 21 and watch some baseball. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you just gotta.
And I think I heard that the Mavs are gonna get off of Bally too.
I think Bally's is just gonna like in general just like blow up. They're gonna blow up. I think so. They're just Mavs. I think after 2024, I think there's not gonna be anything left on Bally, from what I heard.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Dang.
Yeah. And there's also some new pitch clock rules. If you thought that the pitch clock was already short enough, they're trying to shorten it now from 20 seconds to 18 seconds when there's a runner on base, which I don't know why they tried to switch it. They should have kept it.
Yeah.
I know Max Scherzer went on a podcast, I think, talked about a little bit of his opinion on it. I didn't get to catch any notes on that, though, but...
Yeah, I saw that he said that he thinks a lot of the like Tommy John issues that we've been seeing nowadays are kind of because of the pitch clock, which I think I can kind of understand.
It makes sense.
Like, it's more time under tension and with less recovery, which I guess kind of makes sense. But I don't know. I don't want to feel like or say something and feel like I'm like I don't care. But also, I think it's kind of helping out the game in a way. Still, like it's still better for competition's sake. Yeah, and I think that the guy like when you're losing, let's call it 10 guys a year to Tommy John. I don't think it's. Unfortunately, I don't think it's enough to help.
It were to happen maybe without the pitch clock, but still, exactly. You can say that it's because of this, and it does add on top of that. And you can even say, I mean, I'm just thinking of two guys at the top of my head that did not benefit. It's obviously just like it's bigger guys. Lance Lynn's a bigger guy. He
Yeah,
wasn't
he
able to
is.
do it. Clearly, he got absolutely smoked. And then you think about Alec Manoa for the Blue
Yeah,
Jays. He had absolutely just terrible.
just bad.
And obviously, I mean, you got to think you need stamina for this. You've seen bigger pitchers before. Like,
Yep.
how do you think
CC
Bartolo
Sabathia.
Colon would do? And CC Sabathia, how would they do in the pitch clock?
Nah, they would get cooked. Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
you got Jordan Montgomery too. He's a bigger guy too, and he was able to still do good. So I don't know. I don't want to say that it's because of that, but there's two guys that you could mention that could just be like, man, I just lost my breath out there. I was just throwing, man. I don't know. Couldn't do it.
I don't know. Yeah, I
Couldn't
couldn't
do it.
place it where I wanted to.
Yeah.
No, it's understandable. But cool. What else you got? Anything else?
Saw an article today that Shohei might be I don't know if this is from Shohei, but they're thinking about maybe Shohei going in the outfield and not pitch anymore. Not next year, but whenever he recovers.
When it recovers. Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously
Yeah.
right. That I think that limits his contract value, but I think that also like for his long term health, I think it makes more sense. I think he can add just as much value in the outfield as he can anywhere else. I mean, I think we've kind of talked about it before, but maybe just transitioning him to like a closer role, and letting him and not letting him pitch, these extended outings, but maybe 3 innings every 3 days or something of that nature, every 5 days still, just to kind of limit him and allow him to still hit, maybe 90 or 100 innings a season. And that allows him to stay healthy, allows his arm to stay healthy, but to contribute on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what he's doing is just like everything he was doing was baseball. Like he couldn't rest because every time he was resting, it was rehab for pitching, and he was always constantly batting. So, and
it's tough.
Last podcast we didn't talk about MVPs, did we?
No,
they happened this past week. So yeah, Shohei won MVP clearly over Corey and Simeon, but it's okay. They can be the first team ever to have like all top 3 voters on the same team.
Yep.
So I'm chilling about it. Other than that, I mean, just stay tuned with. There have been some trades happening. Ronaldo Lopez, he's a pitcher for the White Sox. I think re-signed with the White Sox for like 30 mil or some shit like that. I mean, a bunch of bums. And there was another trade that happened that sent. It was a pretty big trade with people wise for Atlanta. They got a pitcher from the Guardians, I think. Like again, nothing big yet, but if something else happens, you will hear from it here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of it. Kind of short episode today, huh? Not a ton. Not a ton.
Yeah, my throat needs it for sure, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Too much drinking, too much
so
talking
dry,
all
man.
weekend. Yeah.
Too much talking, too much chilling, too much not enough water. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
During the week, I'd be chugging that shit though, but on the weekends,
I heard that. No, chugging something else.
I don't know. Yeah.
But well, guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Austin Ollie. It was kind of a short one for you today, but wanted to make sure that we still fit it in.
For sure.
I know we usually try to mention about doing a podcast the day after a Cowboys game, but because the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving this week, probably not going to happen. So we'll probably still drop next Tuesday. Just kind of keep it that way and kind of do the same the week after because I think the Cowboys play on Thursday 2 weeks in a row. So in the meantime, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you leave us a review. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. Go follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff. All those links are in the show notes. And guys, with that, thank you so much for listening. This was episode 14 of Austin and Ollie, a sports podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.